that this was going to be an event that will have a very short stay that in the hospital and be over. We thought will be a 2, 3, 4 day stops, and then everything will be back to normal. And it was not until the later time of the day that we start seeing the water coming on and the flooding happening, and then we start realizing that the situation was changing a great deal for the worse, and we did have a good many of these critically ill newborns, and we were trying to start working the mechanics and the logistics of how that kind of transfer was going to be done. The air transport was going to be the way to carry out the transfer of these little youngsters. When I approached the coordinator and of the whole movement in the top of the building, he was telling me that these helicopters were only for supplies and they cannot bring patients out. At that time, I really started getting really anxious. Maybe what I can try to do, because the situation is so dearly critical, is trying to breathe for the baby, insufflating the lungs with the oxygen, and maybe that way I can have it close to me in a sense that my skin can give the warmth that is essential for these babies to maintain being alive. Fortunately, we got there. The neonatal ICU personnel from Baton Rouge was waiting for us with all the equipment ready to go, and they did a fantastic job. So a week after, I started coming back to do the work in the other place that our group was taking care of the sick babies. I think driving back from Baton Rouge, you could see when you enter in the Metairie and the New Orleans area that some of the houses look like they have been a war act. It was completely destroyed. And of course that rebuilding was very much enhanced, but so many workers, Latino workers actually, and they did a wonderful job helping to get the houses back, to get back to life. And their work ethics was fantastic. I think the conditions that they were living were not optimal ones. However, their work continues to be so great. Some people took advantage of many of them not paying the right fees, or sometimes not paying them at all, and that they needed to work through poor health delivery care, and all of that compounded the hardship that they went through. But they made it. Being on the Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse in the Arboa and working some of the lectures that we give to high school students. And so as part of the introduction, after we spoke about our own places where we were born, we start asking them what their families work on it. And I noticed that they seemed to be bringing the head down and like maybe some shame on what they were doing. And our family, our relatives, my parents, they do menial work. And I said, what do you mean menial work? Well, they are in the construction, rebuilding houses, rebuilding the... And of course, I got really upset very quickly. I said, guys, do you realize your family is instrumental that we get our town back? You need to be so proud of what they are doing. It's no small task in the way that they carry on their jobs. They come early in the morning, they take the worst conditions in the open. That's where I think I got the thinking that the monument will really work the best, because I think what I wanted was that they can bring their children, their family, and say, look, this monument is really done because the work I did, the work that your uncle did, and all this family, we contribute, we make a big contribution to bring New Orleans back. So you need to be proud of what we have done. And you brought it back a lot sooner than thank you to your hard work. They need to realize that was no small potatoes, like they say in this country. And we needed to have a way to do our gratefulness shape that mainly for the folks in the family, but also for folks in town and for visitors. And if they visit New Orleans, hopefully they will take the time to take a little look to our Crescent City Park monument.